Alright, so Van, like a lot of people, and me included, kind of wonder, there's a lot of hype. Like, I mean, you're like the mat god, man. You really know how to get into those mats. You know how to pick those fish out. So day in and day out, if you could catch fish all the time like that, would you flip mat?
I think I would put it right up there to watching something come up and hit top water, as fun as that is. But flipping matted vegetation in Florida, whether it's Okeechobee or semi-chain or Lake Toho, anywhere you can find this matted vegetation, I find year-round, I can catch quality tournament fish in it that can put you in a top 10 finish in a larger tournament, or even in a local tournament. You can walk away winning the tournament by mixing in some degree of mat fishing, of matted vegetation. And a lot of people think that maybe something like this is just considered a mat, but there's all different variations of a matted vegetation. It's something that floats. In the wintertime is going to provide kind of like having a cover or a blanket for those fish in the wintertime after a harsh cold front. And then on the flip side of that, in the summertime, it's also going to create shade, and a cover ambush point for bass, and they will be in there. I've caught them doing it in the summertime. Not near as effectively as after a cold front here in the wintertime, but you can catch quality fish. In Florida, I always try to mix it up and try to put together a couple of different patterns in one day. Another thing here, there's the difference between flipping grass and flipping mats. You can flip grass, to a degree, but you don't want to get caught in a rut, going down a grass line, just throwing a dart in the dark, trying to get lucky. If you could pinpoint where the bait is where the bass are going to be, because they don't live in that grass. They go in there to feed, and that's why you can go down a grass line one day and catch them, and then the next day you go down there, and you may not get near the quality or the numbers because they're chasing that bait. But a floating mat, they'll live under there. They'll claim that mat. I think a large fish will claim that mat, and in other words, he'll make it his own or her own. Kind of the same way they would a dock up north in an impoundment such as Lake Norman or Hartwell or Smith. They get on a dock, they'll claim that dock, and they'll make it their own. And if you look at it, some of the similarities between a dock and a mat, they both provide shade. They don't have a root system, and they're isolated. So, just being able to, change your train of thought when you're fishing and finding out how the bass are relating to it. It's almost kind of like, people going to a drive-in restaurant versus a walk-in restaurant. We have different, patterns that we'll get on, if we want a burger or if we want a steak. So I think when they decide to get on isolated stuff, it can be anything floating, a dock, a mat, and they actually live in that because you can catch them year round. A lot of people say you can't pattern fish in Florida. If you got some floating vegetation, you can really put yourself in a position to get bit consistently, regardless of the time of year.